And again, Pan-African keyboard warrior stuff, pro-black keyboard warrior stuff in somebody else's land when you're not in your land and never have no intentions of being in your land to do nothing while you calling somebody else out there for their hypocrisy. It's laughable at best. It's comical. At best, it's terrible. And if Pan-Africanism includes the Flakkos and the Godfrey, I can tell you it's going nowhere fast. They ain't the ones. I can tell you right now. The way they talk, focus on the common oppressor, why they people doing whatever they get ready to do, don't want to be accountable for anything, but want to hold somebody else accountable. When their home country is suffering, need help, they people need help, they ain't got time for them. I can tell you that right now, they ain't got time for them.
Oshay Duke Jackson, shout out to him, had a few words to say about this gentleman on the screen here that a lot of people have been thinking. And I think it's about time we get this squared away. What's up with Poetik Flakko? Oshay Duke Jackson drops bombs on Poetik Flakko, exposing his grift.
And this is important for me because I've kind of had a little bit of Cold War commentary with this guy, Poetik Flakko, a guy that, I helped him out before, and then he accused me of saying I want all African businesses shut down. And at first I didn't get.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy that Oshay actually reached out to this dude and helped him. And somehow now he's trying to say that Oshay wouldn't have helped him if he knew he was an African. What? Poetik Flakko, everybody knows you're African. Everybody knows that. I think you've led with that for a very long time.
The shot, I thought he was actually talking about Phil from the African Diaspora channel, but he was talking about me, and then he clarified who he was talking about. So, and then he just lied, talking about if he was African, he don't know if I would work with him. Which,
right.
I'm living in Africa. I have the Pan-African dating show. I have the biggest repat podcast on planet Earth. What are you talking about? So when I'm listening to what Brendan Jamal is saying, I'm not really here to talk about what anybody looks like or who is badly built or all that other stuff. But what I want to talk about is Poetik Flakko's commentary on racism and white supremacy. And this is what a lot of these non-Black American or non-FBA commentators, they get in the door like that because they can build credibility quick with the Black audience.
And I might be working on another video that's talking about how some of these creators from the continent are exploiting foundational Black American culture on this very platform. They're making videos, sensational headlines all day talking about us and not talking about what's happening in their own backyard. It's really shameful.
Audience, if you come into the Black audience with an American accent and you talk about what is white supremacy, what is this, what is that, it sounds good and it's relatable. It shows that the person, even though if that person or not is from Liberia or not, it shows that they are cool, right? They understand the process. But I want to draw your attention to the Chud the Builder videos that your boy
he been running those
has been creating. This is important to know because,
by the way, Chud the Builder, what happened to Chud the Builder, most of us with sense knew exactly what was going to happen. And it happened in very short order. But for some reason, some people are making a living off of talking about this same topic like it's really important. The more light you give this dude, the more popular he becomes, right?
If you listen at those Chud the Builder videos, he also has this level of course that he's selling, putting people into a school on how to do, content creation and all of that. And he's charging people to do.
Hey, can we talk about those thumbnails too? Like, that's kind of ridiculous. He makes everybody look like they're crying. This is emotional manipulation in work. These thumbnails, now I know it's not against the rules, but just understand what's going on there. Like, making you seem with AI, making you seem like you're in a distraught place, and all the titles are very negative. Don't ever let Flakko tell you he's the positive one when all his titles are "this got really bad," "finally exposed," "this is bad," "this is shocking," "this is bad." "This is bad" is probably his favorite one. Yeah, he uses that. "It got worse." It gets worse on the Nolan Wells unaliving. This is exploitation. Make no mistake about it. It's not advocacy. It's not civil rights work. And he tries to come off as holier than thou a lot of times too. He tries to seem like his politics are better than everybody else's. But this is also superiority, which we talked about in the Godfrey situation. Just because you have a certain set of knowledge does not mean your knowledge is supreme. And for you to talk down to other black people about their political beliefs and their ideas would make me think, it makes me think that you're playing some kind of psyop that black people are somehow stupid.
If you listen at those Chud the Builder videos, he also has this level of course that he's selling, putting people into a school on how to do, content creation and all that.
Of course.
And he's charging people to do collabs on YouTube and stuff like that, which is, like I said, it's his business. But I got a question for Poetik Flakko. Remember when Chud the Builder, the dude Joshua Fox, had a GoFundMe? And when I saw what was happening, I donated. It wasn't a whole bunch of money, like $50-$60. I shared the GoFundMe so other people can go support it. But if Poetik Flakko is so concerned about black people and white racism and all of this stuff, I wonder, did Poetik Flakko give some money? I could be wrong. I doubt you. I doubt it very seriously. Poetik Flakko doesn't care, all right? And this is the fake ass we got to call out. With a lot of these first-generation immigrants, second-generation immigrants, and Pan-Africanism in general, what it is pan-parasitism. It's not Pan-Africanism. It's pan-parasitism.
Let's stop right there. The parasiting of black suffering. Let me see that Oshay coined that term because that's pretty good. I think I've heard somebody else say it. Is a biological relationship where one organism, the parasite, benefits at the expense of another organism, the host. So he's saying these non-foundational black creators on YouTube are parasiting off of the host, foundational black American community, to get traction, to get views, to have to politicize, to politically manipulate. So when you start hearing somebody get overly political all of a sudden, and they're like this authority all of a sudden, just know the grift is coming.
What it is pan-parasitism. It's not Pan-Africanism. It's pan-parasitism. It's let me occupy your space. Let me occupy in your lane.
Right.
Because in my lane, there is no money to be talked about there. Like talking about Liberian politics doesn't generate any money. And as much as they say they love their country and love their people, they won't go there. They won't move back there. They won't build anything there. The majority of them will not. They are pro-black or pan-African keyboard warriors is what they are. And pan-African and pro-black keyboard warriors are pretty much just commentary leeches. And what they do is they attach a lot of the ideology of what people want to hear, and they attach that framework in their own commentary to generate or monetize certain things. And this is exactly what they do, but you never see any real action about it. Like, let me just give you an example. When he talked about me.
There was somebody, and this is like an OG on YouTube, bruh. Now, again, I'll never diss this person. I'll never disrespect this person. Like, I'll never say nothing bad about this person because, this person really helped me out. They hopped on the phone with me, gave me a free consultation, walked me through how to build my channel, gave me, like, the systems, and I applied that to grow.
So he basically gave you everything, and now you pay him back by throwing him under the bus. Wow. With friends like that, you don't need enemies. That is dishonorable behavior. That is 100%. You think Oshay just calls everybody? I ain't get no Oshay one-on-one consultation for content creation. I know some people that have, but that's a privilege.
I would never, ever, ever say nothing bad about this person. I was just heartbroken and really, really, really hurt, bro.
You see, here is this person that's black American that helped him for no charge, for free. Giving him what he would say was the model or somewhat of a level of infrastructure to do what he's doing now. Now, obviously, Poetik Flakko he has an offline name too from the No Jumper, and that's an advantage on social media. And he's a good commentator. He's a great commentator. He has his own style.
Right, but he stabbed No Jumper in the back. I don't know, he might still be cool with them, but he got up out of Dodge. He used them for the popularity that he could gain from them, and then he's out the cut. He even had to leave LA. That's crazy. Probably because he was causing so much chaos and division. That's another whole issue. It's another whole issue on when he's talking about things like gang politics in the black community. It's a very, very, and I know he's following academics' playbook, academics, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm starting to see a theme here,
He just busts out just like laughing and stuttering, and it's different. So it's unique, and you got to be unique in this game. He definitely is that. But
hey, shout out to him for fixing his stutter, though. That is kind of amazing. That might be why we're getting so much content from him, because for the longest time, he was a terrible stutterer. Now I guess he's, defeated that, and he's able to put out so much content now because he's confident in the way that he speaks.
the reality is that you probably will never see any evidence of anybody else saying, Poetik Flakko helped me. Poetik Flakko did this for me. You just won't do that.
Look out.
Unfortunately, a lot of the African immigrants and those guys, they're kind of there for them, right? And then they want to call other people out on their hypocrisy, but the hypocrisy is they live it every day. They don't do anything for the most part that you can justify or clarify that elevates their people. And they don't do anything to clarify that justify or helps us. But meanwhile, when you get to Oshays, other black Americans that come back to the continent that do stuff, it's always predicated on us, having a relationship with Africa and basically trying to build up with the community.
It's very one-sided. It's a one-sided relationship. And I think Oshay is just about tired of this one-sidedness, the one-sided nature of his relationship in Pan-Africanism. But he made a huge commitment by moving to Uganda. And so therefore he's kind of in it. But he's actually backing up. I mean, hey, say what you want to say about him. He's living his Pan-Africanism. You know what I'm saying?
Trying to build up with the community. For them, all they care about is let's focus on the oppressor, the common enemy. That's all Godfrey says. That's all Poetik Flakko says.
Yep.
Let's focus on the bigger issue. But the issue is it's a grift issue. That's why Tariq Nasheed has a term called tether. And the reason why they have a problem with a term called tether? Because isn't that somebody who mimics another person, but that's not them? Isn't that what that is? Well, that's what really is a name of a tether. See, a tether doesn't describe what a person looks like. It describes a behavior. I don't use that word, but
boom. And that's the most simple way to put it. I'm glad he said that, because not only is tether not a group of people, it describes an action. And this is the funny thing about it. Tariq Nasheed has been online so much that he has bored this into people's head. But yet and still, you can tell the dishonesty of a person when they keep trying to frame a term or FBA in general into what they want it to be. You see what I'm saying? Like, there'll be people that'll say, oh, well, tether is talking about all immigrants that come to America. They do that for the sake of numbers. They want to be able to have numbers to be like, hey, we should all be offended at this. When Poetik Flakko says that, it is a perfect example of Poetik Flakko saying that. But when you try to classify everybody as one thing for your own personal benefit, it's dishonesty. You're being dishonest. And Poetik Flakko needs to understand that he's being dishonest, because he's out here saying things that have already been cleared up a long time ago. When Tariq Nasheed says that FBA is a lineage, he doesn't mean that it's a group. Why do you keep trying to make it a group? Why do you keep trying to make it into something that you want it to be? Why? So that you can target it, so that you can put a highlight on it, so that you can say this is wrong, so that people can get in trouble for it, right? That's what it seems like. And as someone who says they're an ally, you should know way better than putting a target on somebody's back that isn't warranted. I mean, if you want to talk about delineation being toxic or whatever, talk about the delineation that's going on the continent that you come from. Okay? You got some people out there that are willing to crack heads, that are running people out of their businesses. FBA and ADOS have never done that. Never done that since you've heard the terms mentioned. In fact, most of anything that's happened has happened online. So then how are you trying to equate something that people have decided for themselves into something that you want it to be? That's dishonesty. That's pan-parasitism, anything you want to call it. And it's got to stop.
So if Roland Martin is a tether, when he was born here, his parents were born here, his grandparents were born here, his 3/4 of his great-grandparents were born here, right? The overwhelming majority of his lineage dates back to civil rights and to slavery. But Roland Martin is a tether, according to Tariq Nasheed.
Because of his behavior. It's a simple fact. See, this is the problem when people try to explain things that they don't actually understand, or that they're going to tell you that they understand. They get things wrong like this. The fact that he is always trying to be Pan-African, trying to be from somewhere else, trying to do this, and also acting in a certain way that is detrimental to most black people in America, then you have to say, is this tether behavior? Why don't you replace the word tether with dishonesty? Why don't you replace the word tether with dual allegiance? Huh? Replace the word tether with dual allegiance. See, I got to teach right now because a lot of people got us messed up. Replace the word tether, which is a pejorative, and I don't even use the word. Honestly, I don't feel it's necessary. But the people that choose to understand they have a reason for using it, and it's getting under people's skin, which I would say is effective because all I see is a lot of hit dogs hollering. All I see is a lot of hit dogs hollering.
Because he doesn't like them. When black Americans have claimed their lineage, like black Americans have delineated far before Tariq Nasheed and that term he created. So
okay, so but you know what he's talking about then. So you understand what he's talking about then. Even if you don't use the FBA marker, you know what he's talking about. So what's the problem? What's the real problem?
Criticizing Tariq Nasheed and his supporters will be seen as you criticizing all black Americans by them, because that's the trick that Tariq Nasheed pulled, right? Like they will say that I'm anti.
He just put an identifier on the group. He's talking about the group. He's not talking about his supporters. You see how he tries to minimize things? So then automatically now it's just people who listen to Tariq Nasheed that are this. While I know there's people who have heard this term and have no relation to the fact that it came from Tariq Nasheed, and they still find it a suitable acronym for describing this group that has also been known as freedmen, this group that has also been known as Negro, group that has also been known as black in America, black Americans, right? So if you know what he's talking about, and there's already multiple names for it, why are you getting hung up? Why are you trying to say that this is only people that listen to Tariq Nasheed? It's minimizing. So see, as much as Flakko tries to play the ally role, he plays both sides, right? Dual allegiance. He's not explaining how his actions are now making it harder for those people.
Black Americans, and I'm a quote unquote tether when I criticize Tariq Nasheed and his supporters. Even though I've been on record saying I support the delineation of black Americans, I support the fight for reparations. I support
all right, then.
it 100%,
End up.
and I think reparations belongs to black Americans. Even though, again, I'm a strong advocate for, if other groups of black people.
But hold up. If that's it, that's it. You agree? Lock it up. Lock in. You're supposed to be helping that cause. You're not supposed to be talking against it. You understand? And that's why that's where the confusion comes in. That's where they start saying that you act like a tether. But when you're clear on your intention, you don't get called that.
Haitians, Nigerians, Ghanaians, if they get to be proud of their culture and they get to identify uniquely with their culture,
yes,
then why shouldn't black Americans?
Right.
So I support delineation, I support reparations, and I support everything that the black Americans that I know are fighting for. Right? I'm an ally.
Okay.
So, but I still get called anti-black Americans because I don't agree with Tariq Nasheed and his hateful rhetoric. But all
so why is he so mad at Tariq Nasheed when he's actually been on camera interviewing Tariq Nasheed? Like, this guy has had more FaceTime with Tariq Nasheed than most people that are actually supporters of Tariq Nasheed, right?
All of a sudden, I become anti-black American when I say I don't agree with Tariq Nasheed saying that babies born in Africa are born musty. I don't agree.
He's mentioned this so many times That is his one reason why he's mad at Tariq Nasheed. Because of a joke. A joke that he says in the context of 3-hour live streams where he's arguing with all types of people, which is a feat in itself, by the way. It's pretty impressive that he can just sit online and go back and forth with these people. But they're coming with disrespect right back at him. So you take one joke about musty babies, which I do not agree with. I do not agree that these babies are born musty. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But this is also people saying, oh, you called me an African booty scratcher when I was 6. And now I hate all of you. This is what I'm saying. These little things that are getting under people's skin. The Tether name, all that stuff is getting under their skin. And now they're having full-on meltdowns and building channels based off of rage bait, talking about how they can't stand Tariq Nasheed and FBA's. It's crazy.
Agree with Tariq Nasheed reiterating white supremacy talking points by claiming there's nothing positive about certain cultures in Africa, like Liberian culture and Somalian culture and Nigerian culture. Really, bro, there's nothing positive about a culture to an entire group of people?
That's really being dishonest right there. That's being dishonest right there. Because I can't pinpoint one time he's ever said that. That's crazy. You just put that jacket on him. That's wild.
Really, bro? Really? Like, there's nothing positive at all? You're right? Like these people have never contributed nothing positive to the world, really? Right? So
how could you say that? And then he did the whole Hidden Colors documentary talking about how great Africa was. Like, this is what I'm saying. How he did a 1804 documentary talking about how great Haiti was. This is what I'm saying. All these things out of context, and you start to believe the hype. It's not about the man. It's about the lineage right now. And you gotta have respect for it. That's all.
When he reiterates these talking points, when he calls groups of people racial slurs, right? When he spews xenophobic, hateful talking points like the ones I just reiterated, and it's like, damn, bro.
Which
I'm
ones?
all of a sudden anti-Black American because I don't support him, and people who support him.
No, you trying to say that everybody supports him. That's the crazy thing about it. If we're telling you that it's a lineage, that means it's devoid of him. He's told you that. He's made that very clear, that lineage doesn't have anything to do with him. It's just a marker for the group. And it's not even necessarily a permanent marker. There might be another term that updates, that is an evolution of that term. This is what I'm saying. Over the years, if you're a student of history, you would see that the name of this group has changed. You know? I don't know. Let me get back to Oshay.
Isn't that somebody who mimics another person, but that's not them? Isn't that what that is? Well, that's what really is a name of a tether. See, a tether doesn't describe what a person looks like. It describes a behavior. I don't use that word, but it describes a behavior.
Right.
What somebody
See?
says is...
You hear Oshay? Oshay doesn't use that word. I don't use that word. So, but I'm damn sure been around some people talking about Akatas and Akata girls. Oh, yes, I have to go get this Akata girl. Like, what? Like, I've heard this. So the fact that we have now a word that is equivalent, that pisses you off as much as Akata pisses us off, I think now we even. See, that's the other thing, too. A lot of this stuff is set up as if we're being proactive or we're being offensive with this, when a lot of this stuff is reactive and defensive. Like the fact that a lot of this stuff had to happen was all in response to people saying things about us. Even the recent reparations movement is a reaction to not being included in CARICOM. I bet you a lot of people don't even realize that. CARICOM was a Caribbean-based reparations movement that excluded Black Americans. And when we tried to go and team up with them, they decided they didn't want to include us. So henceforth, you get an American reparations movement. It's simple. Everything's simple like that. To quote my foundational Black American, Lauryn Hill, make no mistake about it, she's not Haitian. It could all be so simple, but you'd rather make it hard.
is you are benefiting from a culture that you don't contribute to, but you want to criticize, and it's easy to stand behind white supremacy because it don't cost you any money to do that because you have no skin in the game. For an example, when you come to Uganda, you will see Ugandans, and a lot of East Africans, the business culture here is not necessarily delivering on what they say they're going to do. I'm sure that you have those people, and I know a few of those people too, for sure. But largely it's what they call here, and even in America, but they call it vibes. So you would hear a whole lot of, how are you? How's everything?
Right.
Are you fine? And I mean, when you use that kind of passive aggressive ideology, you know, thinking that you can just vibe your way into everything. Well,
slick.
You know, it doesn't cost you anything because you don't have any real skin in the game. You don't have to actually produce anything for anybody to act like that. And that's kind of what the Africans kind of do, especially in the black commentary spaces. To be a black commentator, I mean, I know that we're YouTubers, but at a certain point, people want to know offline, do you have any relevance to who you are offline to what you talk about? And it has to match up. This is why people like Dr. Umar Johnson is criticized. It's why Boyce Watkins was criticized, because some of the behavior that he elicits was not or should not have been found in him offline.
Right.
But it's easy for Poetik Flakko to talk about white supremacy and racism because he ain't got to put in no effort. He could just continue to mimic, or what folks would say, grift, or if you want to be, you know.
And just like he did with LA gang culture. Like Flakko was all up in that LA gang culture. He even says it too. He still operates in some of those terminologies. And I guess, you know, some of those people are his friends. But it sounds like you've extracted yourself from that situation and continue to perpetuate some of that stuff.
You know, tether and benefit. That's why he has a problem of the word tether, because a racial mimic or
it's almost like he's tethering on to LA gang culture, even though he's talked so much trash about gangs and gangsters. And I was like, but you was all up under them people. You were all up under those people. And now you got so much negative to say about them.
What folks would say, grift, or if you want to be, you know, tether and benefit. That's why he has a problem of the word tether, because a racial slur or a slur period demeans you because of one's race or one's looks.
Right.
But tether is a behavior. You have to actually do something to qualify for it.
Right.
Then let's change it around. And when I thought about it, at first I'm like, well, that is kind of a slur. That could be offensive to somebody. But when I thought about it, I said, well, I don't really use the term, and I still won't, but it describes a person who's doing something. For example, a Farrakhan is Caribbean, but nobody could call him a tether. And the reason why you can't call him that is because of what he's done in Black America. We could say the same things for certain people like Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier. Some folks would say Marcus Garvey or whatever. So it's a behavior. It's something that you do. And largely, this is why people are tired of Poetik. I mean, I can see why people criticize him. Because number one, it's all about what you can get off of somebody else's community that you don't contribute to. And then use the easiest way to benefit by trying to call somebody else a sellout. When the biggest sellouts are guys like these. The biggest sellouts are those in the African diaspora. That they sell their people out all the time. That's number one. I live in Africa, so I know how I know how many of these people think. I can't say this for everybody, but they don't do anything for their people. That's number one. They do absolutely zero. When they come back to here, they oppress their people worse than anybody. Whether it's the white man, the Chinese man, work for an African and find out here. And you tell me what these people say about Africans working for them. You tell the diaspora or not. You ask a Ugandan, you ask a Kenyan, you ask a Nigerian, ask them what they think about working for Africans. Whether they from London or got state citizenship. You tell me what leverage they use over their people and if they treat them fair. You ask them that. Number two, they're Pan-African keyboard warriors asking.
And you know what it is? A lot of people that leave Africa and go to London or the U.S. or somewhere else, they have already made their choice. Now, I'm not saying this is in every case. Obviously, there's some people that are, you know, planning to go back and supportive and interactive. But some of these people are very, very calculated in their decision that's over there. That's why they're not concerned with fixing anything that's going on there. That's why they're not concerned with sending money back and becoming something other than building a mansion over there for when they retire, they can go over there and stunt on all the poverty that is going on in the continent. Yeah, there's a lot of people that do that too. Oof.
warriors asking for black unity while denying any situation that a black American or anybody else for that matter has to leverage against them. For example, the South Africans right now and the Zimbabweans. What's going on there? I don't think Poetik Flakko has put out a point of view about it, but Godfrey has, and we already know what they're going to say. We're all black. But it completely denies what somebody's grievance is, and it's on purpose. Let's unite against the common oppressor. Well, who is the common oppressor? Can you go and see him? Can you knock on his door? No, because he wants to continue doing what he's doing now. That's what he wants to continue doing.
I'm going to wrap it up right there. But anyway, y'all, see, when Oshay's cooking, Oshay is cooking. He didn't even mention Oshay's name, and Oshay snapped into action. He was like, oh, you're not going to swing on me? Well, I'm going to swing on you. And I don't think Flakko wants to go down that road, really. It's going to be a million videos of Poetik Flakko going back and forth. Oshay be killing me with them thumbnails, boy. He be cutting people up with them thumbnails, I'm not going to lie. But anyway, I think there's some valuable takeaways in this. And I think Flakko needs to take the message and decide. He needs to decide, just like Godfrey needs to decide. Are you an ally, or are you going to fight against what people have told you over and over again? They are adults, and I said this in another video, they are adults and they have made their decision. Are you going to be with them, or are you going to be against them? Because the easy thing would be just to shut up and allow them to do what they're doing. Or are you going to fight against them? Because this is the same thing I saw in ADOS. The only people that were in opposition to their mission were other black people. They couldn't even get to the, what did Oshay say? The power structure. They couldn't even get to the power structure because there were so many black people pushing up against them and beefing. And the same thing's going on with FBA. So yeah, I think we need to change that in very quick order. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, hype the video for me, please. This is Faucette Media.